What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Quick 60 Sports. I'm here to give you an update on the game that I predicted a few days ago, and it was the Bengals versus the Broncos. And the Bengals came away with a 15-10 victory, but you know that didn't tell the whole story as far as I'm concerned. It's embarrassing. The Broncos only scored 10 points the whole game. Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out of the game. Apparently, he had to go to the hospital. He had a concussion, but he was 12 for 22 for 98 yards, and they only had 3 points at halftime. He averaged 8.2 yards per pass. That's not good enough. He had 2 sacks, no touchdowns. Javonte Williams had 15 carries for 72 yards. He was averaging 4.8 yards a carry. They should have given him the ball a little bit more. There's a play where it was 3rd and 11, I believe, and Teddy Bridgewater threw a 4-yard pass to Cortland Sutton that ended up in a 7-yard gain on 3rd and 11. So I'm just like, why are you going to throw a 4-yard pass on 3rd and 11? I don't know. It's very frustrating. The Broncos have a good enough roster to beat the Bengals, and it's not even just. I think it's more of a leadership position thing than a Teddy Bridgewater position thing, and a Pat Schumer thing is a big issue as well. Yeah, Drew Lock, he came in, he played pretty good. He was 6 for 12. He was rusty. He hasn't been playing with the ones. He hasn't been practicing with the ones. He had 88 yards and a touchdown. He was averaging almost 15 yards per pass, which is way better than Teddy Bridgewater could ever do. So, that's huge in itself. And then, just the fumble when they were going in and driving with Drew Lock. It wasn't Drew Lock's call for a read option. Hopefully you understand that that's Pat Schumer, and that's just unbelievable that you have. It's not Lamar Jackson at quarterback. He's Drew freaking Lock. So you have to hand the ball off to your running back. Don't put Drew Lock in that situation to actually read. And he made the right read. He's just not athletic and fast enough to get around that guy. And so, I like the heart that he gave to go all the way back down, even though he was down by contact, to force that fumble, and eventually, would have been, if it would have been overturned, Broncos football. But, I like the emotion that Drew Lock plays with. I like the fire he gives, because the offensive line, Bowles and Cushenberry gave up too many sacks yesterday as well. I know that Bengals defense is pretty good. That's why I said in my prior video that I predicted the Bengals to win against subpar quarterbacks, which they did. Manix can't miss field goals either. That's huge as well. That was a 6-point swing in itself. But something's got to give. I think that Drew Lock played, a little bit better in the preseason and OTAs, and they still gave it a job to Teddy Bridgewater. I understand he has some leadership capabilities that Drew doesn't have, but at the same time, you got to give it to the better skilled guy, and that's Drew Lock. And yeah, it doesn't matter anymore because neither of them are going to be on the team probably next year. But it begs the question, why does Fangio still play Teddy Bridgewater? I think that they went in after they gave up a 5th or 6th round pick for Teddy, that they were going to ride with him and just kind of throw Drew Lock aside and not even give him a chance. And so that's kind of my thought on some things, as well as Shermer. He needs to go as well. His play calling is terrible. Fangio, his clock management, it's really bad. It's probably first or second worst clock management that I've ever seen as far as how to use timeouts. They didn't even want to use their timeouts at the end of the second quarter. I felt like they had 3, and he was just keeping them in his hip pocket, wasn't going to try. And, not to mention, this didn't happen yesterday, but not to mention his challenges are awful as well. I think he's won like 1 maybe all year. He just throws the red flag if he thinks that they need the ball. It's not even close in Broncos' favor. So, I don't see Fangio lasting, but he's done a good job with the defense. But that might have just been Ed instead. But Pat Shermer, he has to go. The quarterbacks have to go. And not to mention, I don't know if it's Fangio or Pat Shermer, but why is Javonte Williams still not starting? I mean, clearly he's the better running back. I understand you split carries, but Javonte needs to get more carries. Last game, they're 15 and 15 on carries, but give Javonte more carries, a little bit more carries than Melvin, and use Melvin to spell Javonte. I don't know what this offensive group is seeing with that. You pay Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, lucrative contracts, extensions for the Broncos, which is great, but they're getting 1 or 2 catches a game. There's no point there. It's not worth it. So what are you going to do if you're the Broncos owner, Broncos leadership, George Payton? You got to step up. You actually got to do something. All right, guys, my rant's over. I'll be back with my game predictions for today. Peace.